Если так посмотреть, Исламу скоро 34 будет. Но Ислам тоже хочет драться не с Топурией и с Волконовской, или который вышел на замену с Майкану. Ислам хочет драться с большими именами, которые заслуживают, которые давно уже в 70 килограмм. Ты переходишь вес, заслужи, и у нас примерно вот такая позиция.
If Islam decides that he doesn't want to fight me, I don't care. I said, tell you're gonna have to fight me. Okay? You say that you are the world champion, you're gonna keep dominating the division, all that. I'm here. You can't keep avoiding me all the time.
Khabib Nurmagomedov and Ilia Topuria traded words after Khabib claimed that Topuria hasn't earned a title shot against Islam Makhachev. However, in a recent podcast with Joe Rogan, Ilia Topuria explained that moving up to 155 pounds has made a big difference in how he feels and performs. He said that although his past fights were impressive, his body wasn't working at full strength. Now, with the extra 10 pounds, he feels much more powerful and stable. He believes he can finish opponents with just a touch to the head and doesn't need to land clean shots on the chin. Topuria also said he feels strong in wrestling situations and has the cardio to keep going far beyond 5 rounds.
So with this extra 10 pounds, how much better do you think you'll be able to perform inside the octagon? Because I would imagine physically, as good as your performances were, and they were spectacular, your body could not have been operating at 100%.
You are gonna see me at 155 that I'm gonna touch someone and I'm gonna take his lights out. I don't need to touch his chin. I just touch his head and it will explode. I feel so powerful at that weight class, so stable in the ground. Like, do you wanna wrestle? Let's wrestle. No problem. And I have the gas tank for 5 days, not 5 rounds.
On his podcast, Joe Rogan expressed his frustration with weight cutting in the UFC, calling it a form of sanctioned cheating that everyone is forced to do. He pointed to Islam Makhachev as an example, saying he looks far too big to be fighting at 155 pounds. Rogan said that every time he stands next to Makhachev, he wonders how he makes the weight, estimating that Makhachev probably walks around at around 190 pounds. He called the situation silly and questioned why the system still allows it.
I really wish the UFC would eliminate weight cutting.
Why they
doesn't
allow
make
to
any
do that?
sense. Sanctioned cheating that everybody has to do. Yeah, like Islam. Islam Makhachev is huge. How he makes 155 is, I don't understand it. Every time I stand next to him, like, how are you 155?
How much do you think he walks around?
He's got to be 190-ish. He's not a 155-pound man. It's just so silly.
However, Khabib Nurmagomedov weighed in on the potential matchup, stating that Ilia Topuria hasn't earned a title shot against Islam Makhachev. He pointed out that Islam is approaching 34 years of age and doesn't have much time left in his career, so he wants to face well-known opponents with proven track records. According to Khabib, Topuria hasn't faced any big names yet and needs to accomplish more before being considered for a fight with the champion.
И он дрался, и он даже дрался с чемпионом 66, летел к нему. Ислам на то, да, в Австралию полетел, у него там на заднем дворе подрался. Команда, мы считаем, что Топурия, он достойный боец. Но он чемпион, защитил пояс, выиграл очень серьезных ребят. Но эти все ребята, которые были в 66, даже тот же самый Холловый, который он выиграл, он перешел на 70, он ничего не сделал. Из-за этого нам нужно, чтобы Исламу тоже немного осталось. Если так посмотреть, Исламу скоро 34 будет. Но Ислам тоже хочет драться не с Топурией и с Волконовской, или который вышел на замену с Майкану. Ислам хочет драться с большими именами, которые заслуживают, которые давно уже в 70 килограмм. Ты переходишь вес, заслужи, и у нас примерно вот такая позиция.
Daniel Cormier supported Khabib Nurmagomedov's stance on the potential fight between Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria, saying it likely isn't worth it. He believes the reaction to Makhachev's previous super fight against Alexander Volkanovski showed that the reward doesn't always match the risk. Despite Volkanovski being the #1 pound-for-pound fighter at the time, Makhachev didn't receive the recognition or respect typically expected after such a major win.
Heavily anticipated, right?
Cormier explained that super fights are supposed to elevate the winner, but that only seems to happen when the smaller fighter pulls off the victory. Since Islam is the naturally bigger athlete, beating a smaller opponent like Topuria might not bring the same level of praise or momentum. He agreed with Khabib that the risk outweighs the reward, especially considering Makhachev's limited time left in the sport.
At least in the first case.
Joe Rogan pushed back against Khabib Nurmagomedov's view, saying it doesn't matter if Ilia Topuria has defended his featherweight title once or not at all, as he still wants to see Topuria move up to 155 and face Islam Makhachev. Rogan argued that the UFC should focus on making big, exciting fights, and if they want a major headliner for July, this is the one to make. While others like Volkanovski or Diego Lopez can stay at featherweight, Rogan believes Topuria versus Makhachev would deliver the hype fans are looking for, regardless of Topuria's current resume.
Happening at lightweight now. I hope, as crazy as it sounds, I hope Ilia goes up to 55. I really do.
What about this
Volkanovski, Diego Lopez, 45.
I'll take that.
Ilia goes up to 55. I don't care if he only defended the title one time or didn't.
Agree.
Who cares?
You want Ilia to fight Makhachev?
Let's go.
Oh.
Yeah, but I
Let's
think
go.
face a couple of those guys first, like you just said.
Yeah, it'd be
Diego.
nice, but also, who cares? Let's go. Let's
Yeah,
go.
but Makhachev
That's if you
is
want to make the big fight for
big.
July. You want to make that big fight in July. Is it the Volkanovski rematch? I don't know. I think Volkanovski's. People want to probably see him win one.
Kyle Sonnen also responded to Khabib Nurmagomedov's comments by acknowledging Khabib's deep belief in Islam Makhachev's greatness, especially since Islam has never lost at 155 pounds. He understood Khabib's frustration with Ilia Topuria moving up to challenge Islam without proving himself in the lightweight division. Sonnen noted that Khabib's solution for Islam of moving up a weight class to challenge for another title mirrors what Topuria is doing by jumping into 155, which makes Khabib's stance a bit inconsistent.
Appreciate very much Khabib's position. Let me change the words, but tell you Khabib's position. He represents a guy named Islam. He cares greatly about this guy, and he thinks he's the best fighter in the world. And this guy has never lost at 155 pounds. Don't correct me. Please don't take the time to correct me. He's never lost at 155 pounds. He's proven that he's actually the best. He's a little bit annoyed that another guy is coming in from a different division who, while doing great in that division, has not proved himself at all in this division. This, the one that Khabib's pupil has done so well in. And one of Khabib's remedies, while ignoring this guy, who's done a great job, but he didn't do it here, one of Khabib's remedies is to take his guy up a weight class. Doesn't matter who the opponent, as long as they got the belt, try their hand there. And going, okay, but what you're describing for Islam to do, or potentially to do, or that you would like him to do, is exactly what Ilia's trying to do. What you're describing and suggesting Islam do next is exactly what Ilia is in the process of doing.
Sonnen argued that Topuria, an undefeated world champion, is a legitimate contender in the lightweight division despite not having fought there before. He pointed out that dismissing Topuria's accomplishments at featherweight because they weren't in the 155-pound division weakens the argument against him. While some may claim Topuria hasn't proven himself at lightweight, Sonnen believes that should not discredit his journey or ambition.
And I just think the argument gets a little bit tough. Like, it doesn't sound that bad. For me, talking about Ilia Topuria, you got an undefeated champion of the world who's now in your weight class. Obviously, he's the number one contender. But for other guys to go, well, but he hasn't proved it here. Matter of fact, look, he's got no ranking here. He's got no wins over anybody here. We don't discount what he did, but he didn't do it here. Okay, that's a little bit weak, but kind of hard to argue against.
However, in the recent podcast with Joe Rogan, Ilia Topuria shared his desire to fight Islam Makhachev at 155 pounds, stating that it's the fight he wants above all else. He made it clear that he isn't interested in fighting for a #1 contender spot as he only wants a title shot. Topuria emphasized that the fight with Islam would be the most marketable, as everyone else has lost to Makhachev. He also expressed that if Islam avoids him, it won't matter, as he's determined to prove that he deserves the shot. Topuria pointed to his victories over two all-time greats in the featherweight division, including the dominant Alexander Volkanovski, as evidence that he's earned the right to fight for the title.
Do you have a timeline of when you would like to fight at 155?
I would like to fight with Islam, that's for sure. I would like to fight him.
But if they don't give you that fight, if they give you like a #1 contender fight, when would you like to fight next?
I wouldn't fight for a #1 contender
Really?
fight. No.
You only want to fight for the title?
Yeah, of course.
Also, it's the most marketable fight. Everybody else has lost to him, right?
I don't care if Islam decides that he doesn't want to fight me. I don't care. I said till you're gonna have to fight me. Okay. You say that you are the world champion, you're gonna keep dominating the division, all that. I'm here. You can't keep avoiding me all the time. Prove that I deserve that shot. As you said, I knock out
Two of the all-time greats.
two of the all-time greats. To the greats, Walk, who was like dominating everyone in 145 division, and Max Holloway. Great fighters, both of them.
In another podcast, Ilia Topuria made a brutal warning about how he would approach a fight with Islam Makhachev. He said that if he were to face Makhachev, he would ask him about his favorite submission and then submit him with that exact move. Topuria emphasized that he would take Makhachev close to Khabib, even submitting him in front of Khabib himself. He pointed out how Khabib would often take opponents down and talk to Dana White during fights, stating that he would do the same, taking Makhachev down and talking to Khabib instead.
How would you beat Islam Makhachev?
Me personally, I would ask him like, what's your favorite submission? Whatever, dark show, I'm gonna submit you with that.
So if you ask him what his favorite submission is, you would do that to him.
Yeah.
This is a guy that's trained and coached by Khabib.
I take him close to Khabib. I will submit him closer to Khabib.
You'll submit him in front of Khabib.
Yeah. Khabib used to take them down and talk to Dana. I will take him,
And then talk to Khabib.
talk to Khabib.
The fight is still yet to be announced, but Demetrius Johnson shared his thoughts on the potential matchup, calling it an interesting fight. He noted that Islam is skilled at using his length and throwing body kicks, but questioned whether Topuria would be able to catch one for a takedown and start grappling with him. Johnson doubted it, suggesting that Topuria is a better boxer. He pointed out that we've already seen how Islam fares against a good boxer like Dustin Poirier.
Ilia Topuria moving up to lightweight. If he does fight Islam Makhachev, how do you think that fight goes?
I think it'll be an interesting matchup because I look at Islam's very good about using his length and throwing the body kicks. So are we going to see Ilia Topuria catch a kick for a takedown and start grappling with him? I doubt it. Ilia Topuria is a better boxer. We saw what Islam could do against a good boxer when it comes to Dustin Poirier.
I think Islam's going to be a tough matchup for him.
Moreover, Mateusz Gamrot shared his thoughts on a potential fight between Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev, calling it an interesting matchup but expressing doubts about Topuria's chances. He pointed out that Topuria is a smaller fighter, while Islam is significantly bigger. Gamrot explained that to have a chance against someone like Makhachev, you need to be similarly built strong and big because Islam excels in all areas. He emphasized that if your body is smaller than his, you won't have much of a chance in the fight.
For me, interesting fight, but but I don't know. Topuria is small guy. Islam is really big guy, and I don't think that Topuria has changed against him. Like. If you wanna fight with Islam, you have to be like big guy, like similar like him, because he's good everywhere. But if your body is smaller than him, you don't have chance for sure.
Michael Chandler expressed admiration for Ilia Topuria's fighting style, highlighting his calmness and balance until he lands the knockout punch. He believes Topuria has the potential to catch Islam Makhachev with a big shot, but pointed out that if the fight goes beyond 15 minutes, Islam's size and endurance would likely give him the advantage.
If Islam and Ilia Topuria go at it, who do you think wins?
Ilia Topuria may be one of my favorite guys to watch stylistically. How he doesn't force things, not getting emotional, not pushing too hard, also not taking his foot off the gas. He's just right there in the middle until he lands the big knockout punch. So I think he could catch Islam, but if that fight goes anything past 15 minutes, I think Islam beats him handedly just because Islam is a large 155er, and I don't think Ilia is that big. But ton of respect for both of those guys, especially Ilia Topuria.
Arman Tsarukyan shared his perspective, describing it as a close and competitive matchup. He acknowledged Topuria's impressive boxing skills, but pointed out that he hasn't yet faced someone with Islam's level of wrestling. Tsarukyan believes the fight could go either way and added that if he doesn't get the title shot, Topuria would likely be the next in line.
If Islam and Ilia fought for the title, how do you see that one playing out?
It's a tough fight. Ilia, better striking, good boxing. He never fought with guys who can wrestle very well like Islam. So we'll say it's a 50-50 fight.
Do you think they're going to give Ilia the opportunity to fight Islam for the title if it's not you?
I think so. I'm open for everybody from top 5.
Alexander Volkanovski shared his thoughts, acknowledging that while Islam would be a tough matchup for Topuria, Ilia definitely has the ability to catch him. Volkanovski praised Topuria's striking, particularly his boxing, and noted that he's very focused on finding the chin, staying patient and stoic until that moment comes. He emphasized that even if things aren't going his way, Topuria will keep looking for the opportunity. However, Volkanovski pointed out that Islam would likely play it safe, knowing he needs to be defensive against Topuria's powerful punches.
Yeah, so it's look, it just comes to can Ilia catch him? You know, that's what is, and he definitely can. Ilia's very, especially with his approach. He really backs his strike and his boxing. He really knows that he will eventually find the chin, and he's stoic till that happens. You know what I mean? He is on task, and he doesn't. You know what I mean? He'll go even if things aren't working. He's still going to try and find it. So I think Islam's going to be a tough matchup for him because Islam can be quite defensive and safe. I think he's going to know he needs to play it safe with Ilia because he knows Ilia's going to have that puncher's chance.
Max Holloway believes Islam Makhachev's well-rounded skills make him a tough opponent to bet against. He pointed out that Islam's experience and ability to control the fight would likely prevent Ilia Topuria from securing a win. Holloway emphasized that Islam's versatility in all areas of combat gives him the edge in a potential matchup.
Ilia versus Makhachev, what would you think? Who would win?
I mean, bro, it's hard to go against Islam. His fighting style is a tough one. You know, he likes wrestling, he likes striking. Now he's falling in love with his striking. It's hard to bet against Islam. At the end of the day, if he gets it, that's cool, but probably not. He has Volk and Diego driving down the door right now, so I think they might keep him down here.
Dustin Poirier acknowledged that Islam Makhachev is bigger than Ilia Topuria, but believes Ilia has the power to knock out anyone between 145 and 170 pounds. Poirier also expressed that Islam could potentially win the 170-pound belt if he chose to move up, given his skill set and size.
Islam's a big guy. Big guy. I think he's going to be a lot bigger than Topuria, but that being said, Topuria is an assassin, and I believe he can knock out anybody from 145 pounds to 170 pounds.
You think Islam could become the champion at an upper weight class, maybe 170 if he wanted to?
Yeah, I believe Islam could win the 170-pound belt.
Sean O'Malley shared his thoughts on a potential matchup between Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev, acknowledging Islam's size advantage, but also praising Ilia's impressive skill set. O'Malley believes that if both fighters continue to perform at a high level, it could evolve into a future super fight.
You gotta tell me you wouldn't be interested in Ilia versus Islam. God, I mean, Islam is quite a bit bigger, but I feel like Ilia's skill level is just so high. Obviously, so is Islam. So that could be a potential super fight here in a few years if those guys keep doing their thing.
Jamahal Hill expressed strong confidence in Ilia Topuria's ability to defeat Islam Makhachev. He praised Ilia's hand speed, striking creativity, and knockout power, emphasizing that if Ilia lands clean, he has the ability to finish anyone, even in higher weight classes.
I believe he's capable of beating Islam. Just what I've seen and personally too, just like hand speed, the tricks and the way he plays with his striking game. I believe he's definitely capable of catching Islam. And if he catches anybody, I believe he can knock them out. I believe his power might even carry. Not saying that his size and things like that, he can move up to like those higher weight classes, but if he catches it, the way he hits it, somebody even in bigger weight classes get like that, he can put them on wobble street.
Cody Brundage discussed the potential matchup between Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev, acknowledging how impressive Ilia has been lately, especially with his knockouts of notable fighters like Max Holloway and Alexander Volkanovski. He mentioned that if Ilia were to knock out Islam as well, he would be in the conversation for one of the greatest of all time, possibly even making it to the top 3.
It's a crazy fight. You know, we talked about that. You know, Yusuf obviously at 145, he's on a tear. He's making his come up, and he wants that Ilia fight so bad. They already fought once, but we were talking about if Ilia goes in and knocks out Islam Makhachev, like how high do we put him on the GOAT list? Right? Like to me, I'm like, John Jones is #1 no matter what. I don't think anybody could surpass John Jones for a long time. Obviously it would take a ton, but everyone in my circle at least is like, man, if he goes and knocks out Islam after knocking out Holloway, after knocking out Volk, he's got to be up there like top 3.
However, Brundage also pointed out that despite some people underestimating Ilia's grappling, he's a very skilled wrestler and black belt with great submissions. That being said, Brundage leaned toward Islam winning the fight due to his size advantage, suggesting that weight could play a significant factor when both fighters are so highly skilled. Ultimately, he believes the fight would be a thrilling and competitive contest.
and he could do it. I think people, like, he's been knocking all these people out. People really sleep on Ilia's grappling. He's a super high level black belt with really good submissions, really good wrestling. And so I think people are worried, like saying, like, oh, well, he'll get out wrestled, but he has great wrestling. So, man, I don't know. I would have to go with Islam because he's bigger, and I think weight maybe plays a factor when you have two really highly skilled guys, but that would be an absolute banger of a fight.
So what are your thoughts on this? Share your thoughts in the comments section and make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video.